You're listening to Moviesucktastic.
Meat! 100% pure meat!
It all sounds like some bad movie.
Hello.
Banana me.
Mango me.
Banana me.
Mango me.
Banana me.
Grape me.
Whoa.
What you've just heard is probably some of the funniest parts of Leonard Part 6.
Thought you'd never ask.
Pardon me if my throat's a bit off today. I've been screaming insanely for no reason whatsoever.
It's quite all right.
So, as I said, welcome to Moviesucktastic, episode 136. 136, right?
135.
That's what I said, 135.
You got it right earlier today. Scott says, are we doing 135 tonight? And I was like, I think it's 134. No, you're right.
Ironically,
it's 135.
Ironically, I'm looking at the post I did for episode 135, and I got it wrong. So, what can I say?
What'd you put, 136?
No, I put 135. I said it wrong. That's what I'm saying. Ironically, I have the right one right in front of me. But anyway, we're going to be reviewing Leonard Part 6 today because one of our wonderful listeners told us to.
Yeah. He told us to, or said he's not going to be our friend anymore.
And now we're nobody's friend because we watched this.
Yeah. I mean, I actually saw this in a theater when I was a kid. I was that person. If you look at all the money that it made, I was a part of that.
You mean what little money it made?
Well, sure. That you can still say all and be correct. Made $4.6 million. Cost $24. I was a part of that $4.6 million. Sorry to say.
Now back then it was less money than now, so it wasn't $10 or $12. It was probably like $4.
Yeah, 4 or 5, something like that. I saw that at the Royal in Bloomfield Center. Yeah. Went to Willie's Diner first.
Always a good idea.
Yeah. Well, you know what, too? I was 11. A family friend. The girl, she was older. And I had a huge crush on her. And she took me out to dinner and a movie. She was probably 18 or 19 years old. At the time, I didn't think it was anything weird about it. Looking back at it now, it's probably a little weird.
Creepy as shit. But anyway.
So she takes me to dinner, and we go to the movie theater, and there's only, in classic Royal fashion, there's only 2 movies playing. They had Eddie Murphy Raw, and they had Leonard Part 6.
Now, to be fair, that's because they only had 2 screens.
Was it only just the 2?
Yes. The Royal Theater? Yes.
Mm-hmm. All right.
The Nutley had 3.
Well, I mean, the theater in town where I live, they only have, I think, 3 screens, but they show 10 movies. They just stagger them. So I'm assuming the Royal just wasn't savvy enough to do that, or they just didn't have the budget to pick more than 2.
Oh, also in their defense, they were run by slumlords. Like most movie theaters were in that area of New Jersey. Every theater I worked at was run by a slumlord.
Okay.
Or some variation thereof. Somebody who just, didn't have money, tried to run a theater, and you can't run a theater without money because there's no money in running a theater.
That is true. You make all your money on concessions. That's why you pay $5-6 for a soda, and $6-7 for a bag of popcorn.
With a coupon.
Yeah, family of 4 going to a movie and buying concessions, you could easily spend $70.
Yep.
Easily. Or
Which is
more.
why I don't go anymore.
Makes me sad. We should
You
go
know-
to a movie, you and I, just for like a matinee.
I would love to. It's what's sad is that I got free movie tickets during Christmas at our Christmas party,
That's right.
and I have yet to use them because every time it's like a weekend, it's like, oh, let me check what's on. It's like, okay, there's playing at the AMC is nothing I would conceivably pay money to see, let alone go for free.
Right.
I mean, right now the closest I just checked for this weekend today, the closest I could come is if I decided I wanted to go see the Lego movie.
You know, Danny and I are supposed to go see the Lego movie. If you would like to join us, you're more than welcome.
I would not like to. Honestly, I guarantee I don't have time right now. I'm like booked solid until March. Oddly enough, I'm like
Yeah.
very popular all of a sudden, but in a business sense, not well liked. So
You could still be
But
well
anyway-
liked in a business sense.
anyway, even I, as a child, was smart enough not to go see Leonard Part 6. So I have you beat on that.
Well, and just to briefly mention where you said you don't know what films to go see, this spring and summer does have some promising films.
Yeah, I'm
And-
talking about right now.
We need to do, for a future episode, like we do our 3D episode, which we haven't done yet for 2014. We also need to do our summer episode where we'll watch or we'll talk about all the summer films coming out.
Well, the 3D episode is so redundant now because they're pretty much making anything they possibly can 3D. It's not like a special deal anymore. They just
well,
run
yeah.
it through the machines.
That is true. That
So
is
why
true.
even bother?
Well, we would cherry pick the films that we want to talk about.
Well, then we could just. I think this going over to upcoming summer blockbusters makes more sense.
Well, yeah. I mean, listen, we do these annual shows every year. We'll do a 3D show. We'll do a summer
Wait, wait.
show. We'll do a
How-
Halloween
How often do we do these annual shows?
annually,
Every year?
every year.
Sorry, couldn't help it.
Well, we do multiple shows annually. Stop being a
Yes.
dick.
Yeah, no, you're right. We have regular annual specials that we try to do on a regular basis.
Right. All right. So anyway, we walk up to the theater and it's playing. At the theater is Eddie Murphy Raw and Leonard Part 6. Now, I'm 11 years old. She's like 18, 19 years old. Obviously, she's not using the best judgment because when you go to a movie, an 11-year-old realistically probably isn't the appropriate age to see a film like Eddie Murphy Raw. Now, I had the foresight to say to myself, Joey, you might want to censor yourself. Not censor yourself. You might want to put yourself away from that film. Not that I didn't think I was old enough. I just don't think I would have been comfortable watching it with her. So I said, even though I didn't want to,
You
let's
have to see
let's
Leonard
go
Part
see
6.
Leonard Part 6.
Right.
So, yeah, I didn't want to see Leonard Part 6, but I just didn't feel
You chose
like
what you thought was the lesser evil, and you were wrong.
in hindsight, I probably would still do that. Just because I don't think I should have been watching that with her.
And you'd still be wrong.
Yeah, I'm not denying that.
Now it's ironic that you had a choice between Bill Cosby and Eddie Murphy,
Yeah.
because I think both of them kind of parallel a truth about their individual. Now, obviously, there's always been that talk of friction between the two of them. Eddie Murphy using him in his stand-up, talking about how he called him and told him that he shouldn't use foul language, things like that. Which something that Bill Cosby later pulled on Jon Stewart too.
Right.
And when you look at the parallel between the two of them, what is interesting is that Bill Cosby was very critical of Eddie Murphy's stand-up. Eddie Murphy eventually stopped doing stand-up because he wasn't that good at it. He was funny, he's good, but when it came to stand-up, he just didn't know how to handle audiences, that kind of thing. So he eventually segued into films, and that's where he, of course, excelled greatly until Norbit. Cosby, on the other hand, was just the opposite. Television star, huge stand-up comedian. I think one of the few, if only, comedians to have a 30-year career in which he was always filling top venues.
Oh yeah.
And so, master stand-up comedian, knows how to handle audience, knows everything about it. Film, on the other hand, kind of sucks.
He's terrible.
Not looking at his earlier stuff, Mother Jugs and Speed, stuff like that, his Sidney Poitier movies, but just going into the 80s, and like the stuff he did around then, horrible at film. Now, excuse me, I think we should go.
You look like Sidney Porchchair.
That's Poitier. You a stupid ass.
You a dumbass.
I thought it was stupid ass.
I thought it was dumbass. Anyway.
Yeah, I think it's stupid ass. Anyway, I think we should go through the basic plot of Leonard Part 6.
Okay. The razor-thin plot of Leonard Part 6?
I don't think it's razor-thin. There's a lot of depth to this. Look at it this way. The film starts off with 3 bad clips from the movie, kind of a foreshadowing of shit that you don't want to see anyway. And then we're told through the narration of a butler, a device that was later stolen by Tomb Raider, I believe, that the first 5 episodes of Leonard Part 6 have been classified, so we can only watch the 6th one. So that involves us telling a lot of backstory in his history. Leonard is a retired FBI or CIA? CIA, right? Yeah.
CIA, yeah.
What was CIA? He's a retired CIA agent.
Yeah, CIA spy. Yep.
Yeah, who now owns a restaurant and is extremely wealthy. And he's beckoned back by Jodan Baker to help them track down an evil woman who is killing people using animals to push her vegetarian agenda, none of which makes actually sense there.
No.
And then the rest of the film is pretty much Leonard trying to
win back his
stop
wife.
her. Yeah, win back his wife. Oh, that's right. There's a subplot about winning back his wife, which makes no sense whatsoever, and has nothing to do with the rest of the film.
Nothing at all. Even their breakup is vague, where she says, "I just keep seeing you with her," and they've been broken up for 7 years.
Right.
But you don't know if he had an affair or if she.
Well, he claims he didn't. He claims he didn't.
And I believe him.
I don't.
Why would he lie?
Why?
It's a movie.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. And so he's trying to get back this orb that's used to control these animals for the CIA, because the CIA wants to use it too, and he has to get his wife back because she was kidnapped during a stage play starring his daughter, who appears nude and is dating a 65-year-old man, which again has nothing to do with anything.
Nothing. But I do like the Coke product placement during that scene.
Oh well, we'll get to the Coke product placement, sir. Let's not jump the gun, so to speak.
No, let's not.
And the only other aspect of the film we really need to know is that he goes on these missions with the assistance of it's not Swedish, Lithuanian.
Something like
foreign soothsayer, gypsy woman who lives in a trailer park and speaks gibberish that he can't understand, and it gives him random items that he will eventually find useful in his missions. Thus set the stage for merriment. Oh, and he rides an ostrich at the end.
Yes, he does. And that picture that you posted, where did you find that picture?
I just did a Google search.
What is that, like concept art?
No, that picture of it, that's a picture of the actual stop motion doll used to shoot the scene where he rides the ostrich.
Oh, all right, because
it doesn't look a thing like
you don't see it that clear in the film.
No, you don't, because it's shitty stop motion.
Yes, it's terrible.
Yeah.
And a large budget for a film from 1986, I think, or 87. I mean.
Yeah, they put all that budget into special effects they could never hope to pull off.
Yeah.
A lot of split screen, just like Ghost Dad. The same thing there. Let's make a lot of special effects that aren't going to look good to begin with, but damn it, we have to have special effects. Now, this is a comedy. We're told that it's a comedy.
Yes.
And so there are a lot of funny things that are done in the film. Did you want to name any of those funny things?
Well, if I could name, I mean, I could name things that they thought were funny but weren't.
That's what I'm counting on.
Oh, okay. Where to begin? I mean, they send a guy to go assassinate Bill Cosby, and I would imagine that's like the first supposedly major funny scene that they were going for.
It's his own people that send the guy to kill him because that's how they want to get him to do work for them by having someone try to kill him.
Right, because of course, if he succeeded, you weren't the right man for the job.
Now, coming from Joe Don Baker,
rationale.
I like that line.
Yeah. Well, anyway, they send Monroe, and he doesn't look like a Monroe, but that's besides the point. They send Monroe to go get kill Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby comes over. He says the fish isn't fresh. He takes him in the back. I'm going to show you the tank where we have all the fish. So he takes him in the back, and of course Monroe pulls out a gun. And he's like, well, I'm not here for the fish. I'm here to kill you. That scene progresses into Monroe shooting up the place.
Slowly progresses.
Yeah.
Very slowly progresses.
He takes a shot at him and hits a bullet, ricochets and hits. Oh, wow. I'm just watching something on Lost and Found. It's a pretty good scene.
Pay attention, sir. What you're doing. Focus.
Well,
he shoots. It's a lot of sight gags. Like the bullets go through cans of olive oil, and then the chefs just catch the olive oil in their pans.
Well, that whole scene is that way. The bullet hits everything, and everything is utilized. They're doing whatever, vegetables and oil. They're doing.
They shoot the holes in the bottom of the pan and use it to strain the spaghetti.
Yeah, doing spaghetti. Yeah. Everything is 5-star restaurant quality because Monroe is shooting shit up. Cake splatters all over one of the chefs. He's like, it needs more butter. Next gag. Then finally it ricochets and just hits Monroe and kills him right in the head. Scene over. Took what seemed like 5 minutes.
It felt like 10, yes.
Yeah. And of course
and
there's...
since you mentioned Coke, of course, when he opens the refrigerator to deflect the final bullet inside the refrigerator in the kitchen, it's nothing but a solid wall of Coca-Cola cans.
Oh, yeah. That's the second instance of Coke in the film. The first one, you got to catch it. It's quick. But when they release the bass fish through the pipe to go kill one of the agents at the pool, it swims by a half-crushed can of Coca-Cola. It's quick, but it's there. And then,
the fish does stop to read a Playboy.
It does stop to read a Playboy.
Now, I personally did kind of chuckle at the fact that the killer trout was barking. I like that.
Well, yeah.
Quellish.
So Bill Cosby drags Monroe's dead body. Of course, you can do that. No one's going to stop you. Why are you dragging a dead body? I just am.
Let's also remember this is a kid's film, so he's dragging a body that was shot in the back of the head.
Yep.
While children watch with glee.
Yeah. I watched it.
One thing I did find funny when he drags it back to the CIA office, and Joe Don Baker is holding the meeting, is when he says lights off, and they all turn off the little desk lamps, and they like one by one. He says, no. We can do this better all at once. And he makes them redo it till they get it all at once.
I did like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did like that. I watching it again, I didn't remember that they did that when they did it. I was like, you know what? I do like that scene. We could do better than that.
There's a lot of stuff that's really forced humor where like he goes into his closet when he sets up a date with his wife, and the closet is like the size of a library. And there's like a whole wall of ties and suits and everything. And he said, I have nothing to wear.
Yeah, that's.
But then during the next montage, not only do we get to see Bill Cosby's bare chest again, which we haven't seen since The Devil and Max Devlin. A far better movie. Far better movie. But we also get to watch his butler keep coming to him with ties over and over again. It's another one of those, like, it's a quick joke that's dragged into like a 5-10 minute running gag that with no real payoff except, see, I told you.
Yeah, and he brings him every single tie that he has, and it's this huge wall of ties. I mean, huge. Bigger than some people's master bedrooms. And, of course...
That's the last one.
The last one.
Of course.
Of course. Utterly ridiculous.
Now, we could actually... This is kind of a hard part, because we could actually go through this film in 5-minute chunks and just complain or talk about everything that takes place in the film.
Yeah.
As I mentioned before, there's a scene where his daughter comes home, his 20-year-old daughter, and she introduces him to her 65-year-old boyfriend, who's also directing 66, who's also directing the stage play she's in, which they go to see, and she actually performs nude.
Right.
There's, from a writing standpoint, I got to explain something. Is that normally you have conflict in the story, and your main character usually has an external and internal conflict. Okay. The internal conflict is usually a problem with the character that they resolve by the end of the film. Follow?
Okay. Yeah.
This film has no internal conflict. Bill Cosby's character, Leonard, does not start out with a flaw that challenges his ability to resolve his outer conflict, which is, what was she called again? The evil woman? Medusa Jones. Which is a damn good name. It's a damn good name.
Yeah.
Also, he's trying to win his wife back, but he doesn't try to change anything about himself except the fact, I mean, it's nitpicking here, but the whole idea is if his internal conflict is he's trying to win his wife back and that gets in the way, then the whole idea is that he originally quit the CIA because he was trying to win her back. But in the second act, she actually tells him that he should go back and get Medusa Jones, which nullifies that, and so there's no longer any conflict there. The daughter comes into the scene. She poses a situation of dating an older man, performing nude in front of an audience, but there's a conflict at the beginning there where he's against it, but nothing he does anywhere beyond that has anything to do with resolving that issue, either internally or externally. So that doesn't belong there. So there's a lot of stuff going on that, in the scope of the film, doesn't go anywhere.
Right. No, you're right. And the issues, like with Medusa Jones, I mean, she's vegetarian. Now,
Snappy
hold
dresser.
on. So, well, yeah, I loved her hair. Could you see them using Sandra Bernhard for that easily? Because the whole time I'm watching the film, I'm like, they could have easily got Sandra Bernhard for this.
But it's.
I didn't mind her, but I'm just saying this is a part Sandra Bernhard could have nailed.
But it's potentially an urban film, if you will, or a black movie.
I did go see it at the Royal.
That's neither here nor there, sir.
It's a parking lot now.
I told you that my friend Chuck, he was a projectionist at the Royal when they were showing the Run DMC movie.
Oh, God, really?
I ever tell you about that one?
No.
It was a premiere, and the film broke during the premiere, opening night. God. Packed house. And he said while he was fixing the film break rapidly, literally, hands were coming through the projection window. They had pushed people up to climb into the projection window because the film had stopped. That's where performance anxiety is not acceptable. You have to just follow through on that. But yeah, I can see her getting her because it's an urban film, if you want, what do you want to call it? It's primarily black stars, African American actors. Right. So you want an African American female lead for the villain as well.
Banana.
What?
Banana me.
Mango me.
Mango me.
Well, I mean, there's another example that I actually dug up the video of the Ebert review.
Oh, you know what? I didn't download it, but I could have. How long is the Ebert review?
It's like 3 minutes. You can
Play
download it.
it. I can get it. We can
grab
play
that. But he basically flips out, and the two big things he focuses on is the scene where Leonard's trying to get into the tuna international or international tuna factory, and he's trying to blow up these metal doors, and everything he does, they don't blow up, but this happens for like a good 2-minute stretch. And between that and the Coca-Cola product placement, Ebert pretty much lost his mind.
Top star.
Hated it.
Hated it.
Now, I'm going to address very shortly that the product placement. And at one stage, I believe the film was meant to do something differently, but we'll get into that. Now, during my research, it didn't occur to me when I was watching the film. Let me bring up my notes here. Is that the film did come out in the late 80s when Coca-Cola had purchased.
Well, didn't Bill Cosby have a major Coca-Cola deal too at one point?
Yeah, he was already a major dealer with Coca-Cola, but Coca-Cola had also purchased what is it? Not Universal, the company.
Paramount.
God, Paramount. I talked before I found my notes. They had gotten to the film industry, and they were using it to place product placement of their stuff in there. And so this was a big deal between no, it was Columbia.
Columbia. So
Columbia.
TriStar. So Columbia, Sony, TriStar.
It was Columbia.
Columbia Pictures. You're right, it is Columbia Pictures.
Right. And so Coca-Cola had purchased the company, and they were using that to, and then later they merged the movie companies. But the two films they really pushed for Coca-Cola product placement in, where the film was practically made to do it, was Leonard Part 6 and Mac and Me.
Oh, God.
E.T. ripoff, in which Coca-Cola is the one thing that actually keeps the aliens alive. They have to drink it to stay alive.
And also, Mac and Me pushed McDonald's really
yes,
big.
McDonald's too.
I remember.
Always been in the four. I'm saying, Mac. Whenever I think Mac and Me, I think McDonald's because the name's Mac and Me. And when I saw it as a kid, I recognized the McDonald's product placement, but I didn't remember the Coca-Cola product placement until I was reading about Coca-Cola's dealings with Columbia at the time.
Right, and I remember going to McDonald's as a kid, and there was this big billboard, or a cutout life-size billboard of Ronald McDonald with Mac, and he's like, "Go see my new movie, Mac and Me." Like, that was the advertising. And I did go to the theater to see that fucking movie.
I saw it on cable.
I saw it in a theater, and the whole movie, I'm like, where the fuck is Ronald McDonald? It's like, it said at McDonald's it was his movie, he was gonna be in this thing. And near the end of the film, there's Ronald McDonald doing like tricks in a McDonald's, and they have the camera on like a skateboard, and it slides by, and that's it. That was the whole scene for Ronald McDonald. It was literally 4 seconds long. Pretty fucking stupid.
Now,
and what's his face? Oh God, he was in My Idiot Brother. That guy.
Mm-hmm.
This is 40. My Idiot Brother. I can't remember his name for whatever reason. Paul Rudd.
There you go. Anytime
he goes on interviews to sell any of his films or whatever, late night and whatnot, they always, especially, I think that he does it on Conan O'Brien mostly. He says, and here's a clip from my new movie. And it's always a scene from Mac and Me when he falls off the cliff. And he's been doing it for literally the last 10, 15 years.
That's great. I never noticed. I don't watch television, so I miss stuff
you
like that.
You can find the clip on YouTube if you do Paul Rudd, Mac and Me. It's hilarious. It's fucking hilarious. And they show through the years him going on these talk shows, or I think it might just be Conan. I don't know. But for years, he's been doing it. And the man has not aged a fucking day. It's creepy.
No, he's still looking good, definitely. Now, I mentioned that Mac and Me was a Coke product placement disaster that came after Bill Cosby's Leonard Part 6.
Yeah, I think
the film they were trying
a year later.
The film they were trying to recover from when they made Leonard Part 6 is a film we reviewed earlier in the podcast.
Really?
Coke product placement, film bombed. Ishtar.
Oh.
So they were coming off Ishtar, and then Bill Cosby comes up with this film, and we'll talk about that more in a minute. And so this bombed, only made $5 million. Now, Mac and Me, you remember how bad Mac and Me was, right?
It's horrible.
You know how much it made?
Probably less than the 4.6 million Leonard Part 6 did.
34 million.
What?
Yep.
I was a part of that.
In just over a month.
It made 34 million in a month.
That's according to the text I was reading, which was about Coca-Cola in the film industry.
How is that not made into a sequel? That's more than enough money.
Because it was a shitty film with horrible reviews?
Well, yeah.
Possibly. I don't.
But with 34 million, take a chance.
Maybe video sales afterwards made them realize that there was no interest in the film after that. I don't know.
Maybe.
Who knows? But that, just for reference there. Do you get that clip yet?
Yo, I got it.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, here it is. Siskel and Ebert. Here we go.
Starring television's top star, Bill Cosby, but it is also one of the worst movies of the year. In fact, I think I could just take my little mental editor and take out the words "one of" and just call it the worst movie of the year, because it's really such a cynical exercise. And don't take even my word for it. Bill Cosby himself has gone on talk shows to denounce this film. The movie stars Cosby as a former CIA agent who is now a millionaire San Francisco restaurant owner when he's called out of retirement to battle an evil villainous plot to conquer the world by attacking her enemies with trained small creatures like frogs, squirrels, and rainbow trout. Cosby knows he's in trouble when hitmen attack him in the kitchen of his restaurant.
Go easy, Monroe.
It's that Monroe scene you talked about.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. You can really turn your head and see where a bullet is ricocheting. Later, Cosby goes into battle as kind of a one-man fighting machine.
Big door.
And no matter what he fires at it, the door doesn't go down. How funny. The door is still there. How hilarious.
Ooh, he's
How
angry.
highly, highly humorous.
Very.
Maybe at some point there was an original inspiration for a good comedy here. I don't know. They certainly were not reluctant to spend a lot of money looking ridiculous in this movie, and sometimes that works, but not this time. The whole movie is a mess, and even though Cosby has disowned it, he cannot escape all the blame. I don't think so. In one scene, his 20-year-old daughter brings home a 66-year-old man that she wants to marry. Cosby is appalled. This guy is robbing the cradle. What does he do? He calls for a sandwich and a Coke. And then he holds the Coke bottle prominently next to his face for the rest of the scene. First it says Coca-Cola, then the next shot it says Coke, in case you missed the point. Who released this movie? Columbia. Who owns Columbia? Coca-Cola. What is Coca-Cola doing with this movie? They have a lot of products in this movie, Gene, that you can get a tie-in where you can get the product in connection with buying a ticket for the movie. I think that that is an all-time low. Bill Cosby, the richest man in show business, $67.5 million income last year, reduced to holding a Coca-Cola bottle next to his face in order to get a picture made at Columbia. He ought to be ashamed of himself.
Boy, you're upset. And you know I am too. No, I am too, because this man can be funny.
Yes.
All right, you said he's prostituted himself. I say the fact is he's disappointed his
Yes.
legions
Yes,
of fans. There will be tons of people who will go to this movie. You know, if they've seen it
Like
on
Joe.
Saturday night, or Let's Do It Again with Sidney Poitier years ago, he was funny. Boy, if they go, well, they feel ripped off. It'll be like, you know, getting some of his Jell-O products that he sells and finding out that there's nothing in the box. There's nothing in the can here.
That's right. Cosby owes it to himself. Everybody knows that when you do a weekly television series, you only have a little bit of time every year to make a movie.
Right.
You can make about, it's like Tom Selleck's got the same problem. You can make about one movie a year. But the plus is you got 9 months to have you and your agents look for the right script. If this is the script they found, they ought to start doing a movie every other year.
All right.
Or every leap year.
I want to follow up on that.
Okay.
what he just said there. Have your agents find the proper script.
Yeah.
I want to bring this up because, and this is not going to be very complimentary of Bill Cosby as a person.
Oh my.
You see the trivia, and he even mentions it. Ebert even mentions it, that the big thing with Leonard Part 6 is when it came out, he was one of the few people that actually go to talk shows when he was promoting the film and say, "Don't see the film; it sucks." It's only happened a couple other times. I think Andy
Kaufman.
Thank you, Andy Kaufman. I think there's one other one. Anyway, I'm trying to think of another name. I can't think of a fucking name tonight. It's killing me. Anyway, I hear talk about that, but some of the books I was reading and articles I was reading talked about how before the film came out, he was very positive about the film, and this is going to be great. It's going to be wonderful. Like, he went into it liking it, and the more I looked into it, this is not a film where the studios came to Bill Cosby and said, "Hey, we have a movie we want you to do, or will you do a film for us?" "Yes, okay, we'll find a script for you." This is a film that he was already working on developing. That's why he has a story credit. He did not just right. So this was his idea, and he worked with the person that wrote the screenplay. It wasn't just handed off to a fixer. He was developing the screenplay
Jake Reynolds
with
or somebody like that. What was
Jonathan
his name?
Reynolds. Correct.
Jonathan Reynolds.
Yes. This was their brainchild, their idea. Bill Cosby was on as a producer. He's on as a writer. You know, he's connected to this film on a development basis. He can't, now Ghost Dad, also a bad film.
Yeah.
I have found nothing in my research indicating that he ever badmouthed the film during any kind of promotional for it. If you look at Ghost Dad,
that's better film too. Not by much. It is a better film.
No, I would call them equals, sir.
You really think Ghost Dad isn't the better film?
No, definitely not.
I'm thinking slightest of margins. I'm not saying, my God,
not even so.
Ghost Dad's a 6, and Leonard Part 6 is a 2. I'm not even going in that. Really? Okay.
I think they're equals. I think they're equally bad. Both of them try to portray a kind of family values of some kind.
Yeah.
Fail miserably. Both of them have horrible special effects. No, I would say they're both equally bad. Now, I haven't checked to see if Bill Cosby had a producing credit on Ghost Dad. I'm glancing right now. I don't believe he did. He did not. So he did not have a produced as credit. There's about a half a dozen screenwriters for Ghost Dad. None of them are Bill Cosby. Here's a person who learns from his mistakes. Now, he learned from Ghost Dad and stopped making fucking movies.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, my theory is, and also, if you look back in the past, this is some one famous incident is where he punched Tommy Smothers in the back of the head.
Oh, did he?
You're not aware of that?
No.
It was Tommy Smothers. The Smothers Brothers show was very political at the time. It eventually got canceled for being too political about the Vietnam War, stuff like that. And apparently, Tommy Smothers was always critical of Bill Cosby because Bill Cosby, unlike other black comedians at that time and later, never took a political stance. Never took any kind of social political stance. He never really came out and started talking about anything of a political nature until near the end of his career, after he was already minted. So Tommy Smothers was very critical of that, and it got to the point where during one situation, I think Hugh Hefner was involved. It's when Tommy Smothers turned his back on him, Bill Cosby sucker punched him in the back of the head.
Huh.
And they've talked about it on talk shows since then. They've been interviewed on it as well. They're both they're both a little tight-lipped about it, but they're pretty much acknowledge that they hate each other. So there's a bit of arrogance to Bill Cosby. I believe that when this happened, he realized he made a mistake. Again, we talked about how he knows stand-up comedy. Eddie Murphy doesn't know stand-up comedy. Bill Cosby doesn't know film. He doesn't. He started TV a lot. He's a great stand-up comedian, but he doesn't understand film. So from a writing standpoint, he was attached to this film as a writer. He was attached to it as a producer. Right. He knew he was, he's the actor in the film. He knew that it's his name. So what he did was immediately, as soon as I don't think any of this happened until test screenings, until he found out people hated it.
Right.
Just because, again, I found indications of before the film coming out, him saying it's great. It's just when it came up to the actual press tour that he started bad-mouthing it. I guarantee you that came after test audiences when he said, "Oh, everybody hates this fucking film," and he realized that the only thing he could do to save face was say, "It's not my fault, it's them." He went on to blame the director, the producer, who were easy to blame at the time because there was a kind of a British takeover of Columbia at the time. They were starting to call it British Columbia, and it was easy to knock these guys that the industry was hating because they were pulling a lot of shit that the industry did not like. And he used them and the producers and stuff as a scapegoat. Like later on, Bill Cosby would say, "If I learned anything from Leonard Part 6 is that, don't let people, use you. Take control of the stuff yourself." He made it sound like they were the reason it failed. And I guarantee that's exactly why with Ghost Dad, he had no creative connection to the film. So if it was bad, it wasn't him. It wasn't a Bill Cosby film. It was just a film he was in. That's my take on that.
It's an interesting take. Because even though I do agree with you that stand-up, yeah, a master. But he was in film long enough.
Not that many. I mean, he was in some films, but
yeah.
You look at this. A lot of them were bit parts, and So, but again, there's a difference between starring in films,
yeah,
and knowing film. Again, we're to the point. It's not just.
Do you think it was really more forced by Coca-Cola to just try and because he had that massive deal with Coca-Cola?
No, but again, he developed the screenplay with this guy, and he approached them and said, "I've got a screenplay for you." There's no other hands on that. There's no other screenwriting credits on that screenplay. There's no other hands on that.
Unless Coca-Cola forced his hand and say, "Hey, we'd like a screenplay from you," and he said, "Yeah, sure, why not?" And then it's got out of control.
All right, fine. But my point is still, his name's on the screenplay, even if it's only story in the credits. His name's on that. His name's on as a producer. As a producer, you can't come out and say, "Oh, well, you shouldn't be able to," but he did. You can't come out and say, "I didn't have control." So when he came out, he immediately came out and took the defensive position. They ruined it. It was their thing. It's not my movie. It's their movie.
Was it this film that ruined his relationship with Coca-Cola? Because I don't remember how it got ruined, but I remember it getting ruined pretty bad.
It's possible. It's possible. It might be possible because he came out and publicly shit-canned a film that they had put $25 million into for him. And then he came out and said, "Yeah, don't bother seeing it," while they're promoting the film. Yeah, they might, especially since they were hoping on this film to save Ishtar. That could be one of the reasons. Sure.
I'm looking it up real quick.
But that's my point. It's just that his whole campaign. Otherwise, he would have done the same thing with Ghost Dad. Or at least I found nothing of him apologizing for Ghost Dad, saying, "Oh yeah, it was horrible." But this one, he purposely had to set himself apart from it because he knew that his name is attached to it as a creative influence.
Right.
And it is too because some of the stuff in the film is set up specifically for Bill Cosby type humor. The strained relationship with his wife is right out of his stand-up. That scene where he's under the water and doing the mushmouth voice. Why? Who else would write that in there but him so he could do the mushmouth voice? And there's another thing I want to bring up that's going to blow your mind. And
hold on. I found it. It is Coca-Cola. It is Leonard Part 6. Leonard Part 6 would offset the losses on Ishtar. A leadership at a parent company of Coca-Cola said to have hardly been able to contain their joy over the co-promotional opportunities leading up to the release. The company announced it would spend $12 million on synergies of the film, given the success of the Cosby television series and his record sales of his parenting book, Fatherhood. Promotions included posters, cameras, point of sales, and a contest to win Porsche cars. Cosby was initially supportive of the film, but distanced himself from it closer to the release date. The film failed with a net loss of $33 million. So, and then it goes on to say that, the falling out. So, ever since Leonard Part 6, his relationship with Coca-Cola was in the toilet.
And why else would he spend his money, hard-earned money, to buy the rights to the film so it would never show on television? He bought television rights so it would never be shown on TV.
He also did the same thing for The Little Rascals, but
Right.
It's like, and you know what? I bet one spurred the other.
When
him buying the TV rights, he's
Sure.
got so much money and power. It's like, you know what? I'm going to buy fucking Little Rascals too, and I'm never going to have that shown again.
But why didn't he do the same with Ghost Dad? It's not like Ghost Dad is a well-loved film either.
No, yes, this is true.
So I didn't see anywhere anything him doing. Again, maybe it's because he got a thicker skin after Ghost Dad came along. Who knows? But I just think that's the main reason he actually behaved the way he did with the first film, and it just belies that kind of that ass coverage. This is not going to ruin my career, so I'm going to make sure it ruins somebody else's career, or at least blame everybody else. And why wouldn't Coca-Cola disassociate themselves with him after he threw them under the bus to save his own name?
Right.
After he's by that point already a millionaire, already extremely wealthy. What do you have? Six television shows?
Yeah, and what did Ebert say? He said the year before he made Leonard Part 6, he made $65 million that year.
Yeah, this is a guy who doesn't need the money. So for him, it's just about saving face.
Right.
Now, here's where I'm gonna blow your mind. I can't take full credit for this. When I was doing my research, I came across an article by damn it, I had his name right here. Jesse Cataldo.
Okay.
And I contacted him to get clarification on this too. So I had a brief email interview with him. I'm gonna send him a copy of the show. It was in a magazine. Where the hell's I have the link to the actual thing. SpectrumCulture.com. And they have articles on films and stuff. And this was a film in defense of bad movies. He was defending Leonard Part 6. Nothing too crazy in there. At the end, and I got clarification.
Was defending Leonard Part 6?
Well, he's kind of saying that it's not as bad as everybody says it is, and they're just jumping on the bandwagon, that kind of thing. But it's very direct. He's not just saying, "Oh, you guys are just knocking it." Like, it's not like an IMDb post. He's actually giving reasons why the film, might have been underrated or might not be seen for what it was supposed to be. And one thing he says near the end.
Color me interested.
You're going to love this. Apparently, he had a friend who was into Russian surrealism, that kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah.
And he said that this film was obviously influenced by Dada.
What is that?
Dada is a surrealist, it's a surrealist art movement that was kind of made art, not art. Perfect example. Salvador Dali is a perfect example of he was involved in Dada, among other people. So it's part of the surrealist movement of artists.
Okay.
All right, maybe saying surrealist, but specifically Dada, because and I would never have noticed this, but it was in Jesse's article here, and 3 of the characters in the film are named Marcel, Duchamp, and Man Ray.
Right. Okay. Yes. I
Marcel
remember
Duchamp.
all of that.
Right. Marcel Duchamp is one. Take both those names together. Marcel Duchamp is one of the founders of the Dada movement.
Huh. And
Man Ray is a very high-profile Dada artist.
Wow.
Also, what he mentions, he says in his article that the fortune-telling gypsy who's speaking gibberish is actually reading an entire Hugo Balzam poem, and it's masked as gibberish. Zom poetry was a whole Dada thing where it was poetry with gibberish words. So you just make up the words. Not everybody's cup of tea.
Well, yeah.
Hugo Ball was famous for doing some of this. I looked up whatever I could find online of Hugo Balzam poems, so I couldn't find one that matched what she was saying. So when I contacted Jesse to ask him for the specific one, he said he didn't remember. It was a while ago. He might have meant to write a style, but his friend who was more into that kind of art movement had remarked that it was a Zom poem, or at least very reminiscent of it. So what we have here are a number of things that point to this film might have been originally intended to be a very surreal nonsense film.
Huh.
All of this stems from the bafflement that I and Holly experienced. I made her watch this with me, and she still hates me.
I saw the post. She really doesn't like you right now.
No, she's angry. And so she and I both ended up like doing Google searches on our phone when the scene where he goes to visit his daughter after the nude stage play.
Right.
And they're behind the stage. They're backstage. On one wall, you have shelves holding all the letters for the marquee, and on the other side, there's a table filled with a huge pile of lava soap.
Yeah, when I'm watching, I was rewatching. I'm like, what is with all the goddamn lava soap?
Insanely, just tons of lava soap. And then later, when they come back and find that the wife was kidnapped, or when he comes back and finds the wife was kidnapped, all the lava soap is scattered all over the floor.
Yeah.
And so we're immediately like Googling lava soap Leonard Part 6. Somebody's got to know what the fuck this means. Nothing. There's no like real explanation to what it means. And so when I read this article by Jesse Cataldo that mentions Dada, suddenly it makes sense. I have a feeling that the screenwriter, Jonathan Reynolds, who didn't really do much after this, he was involved in My Stepmother's an Alien and Switching Channels.
And an Eddie Murphy film, ironically.
Right, and Switching Channels is a remake of My Favorite Brunette.
Right. What was the Eddie Murphy film? Distinguished Gentleman, I think.
It's the Distinguished Gentleman too. That's around where he stopped being funny.
I think that's the last thing he ever wrote.
Well, that's what I meant. I meant Eddie Murphy. Sorry.
Oh. Okay.
And he also wrote Mickey and Maude, which I like.
Mickey and Maude?
Yeah, that's the one with.
That's the one from 72? That Mickey and Maude?
84.
84? Why am I thinking 70s for that movie?
Dudley Moore marries two women at the same time.
Oh, I'm thinking of Maude and Me. Never mind.
Yeah,
sorry.
That's what you're thinking of.
That's 72, I think. Sorry.
And I'm wondering. That's okay. So he's done films that are more, let's say, sophisticated than Leonard Part 6. I actually like Switching Channels, and I like Mickey and Maude. Stepmother's an Alien, but he has done in between.
It's one with Kim Basinger, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So on either side of Leonard Part 6, he's written screenplays that have a level of competency to them. So what happened in Leonard Part 6? You can blame the director, maybe you can blame the producers, Bill Cosby. But I'm wondering if he wrote a screenplay with Bill Cosby that was intended to be an absurdist Dada representation of a spy film for kids, and nobody else understood.
Yeah, nobody.
If you watch it that way, it really starts to make sense. It really does. Now, I'm not saying it's a good film, but it makes me wonder what would have been possible if they hadn't tried to make a kid film with Bill Cosby and he had just written a straight, like, it's almost like Alphaville, but for spies, but it just didn't follow through.
Right.
Alphaville's a famous surrealist French film. So
he did win a Razzie for worst screenplay with Bill Cosby in 1988.
Now that's the other thing. Again, when Bill Cosby won the Razzies, he paid for them to make solid gold ones, and took them everywhere and bragged about winning the Razzie.
I do remember reading about that.
Yeah, and again, I want to underline the fact.
Or did you mention it last episode? I don't remember. I remember hearing it though recently. No? Okay, then I must have read that.
Last episode. Yeah, he specifically went out of his way to say, "See, this film won for worst, and I'm collecting all of these." I just see that as a way of him distancing himself from the film by admitting, yeah, that was shit. And whenever anybody would review him about it, says, yeah, because the director and the other guy, they ruined it. They didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah.
So that just underlines. Again, he never did that for Ghost Dad. I never heard. None of this shit came for Ghost Dad. Maybe it wasn't funny anymore. Had he done a shitty movie? I don't know.
He did Ghost Dad after this, I believe.
Correct.
So
I think it was
maybe
like
he
3
just
years.
burned. he burned one too many bridges, and he said, "Yeah, it's not great. I'm not going to do that again."
But then why makes we're only talking a 3-year span though.
When did Ghost Dad come out? 89?
I'm pretty sure I thought it was 3 years after.
Could be 1990. I thought it was 88, 89.
Only one way to find out.
I'm looking at it right now.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. I'm only 4 years old.
1990.
Jeffrey. 1990, eh?
Yeah.
Why did I think that was 88 or 89? Anyway, I was only off by a year.
So complete piece of shit or Dada surrealist spy story.
Ha. Mind blown.
But again, but even think of some of the other scenes. Suddenly, it starts to make more sense. Dinner with his wife, and she starts ladling soup on him out of anger.
Right.
The Porsche with the tank turret. Take from that what you will. Just the bizarre. Oh, how about the freaky ass fucking bird vegetarians?
Yeah.
That, by the way, that whole dance thing with the half naked guys with bird masks, it was like just as creepy. It's right out of fucking the Wiz.
Yeah.
That level of creepiness. There's nothing. That was like nightmare. I'm glad I never saw that as a kid because that's nightmare fuel right there.
Yeah.
Just the ballet dancing. Not ballet. He was ballet dancing, but just like dancing, half naked crow bird peep guys. Just bizarre. All I'm waiting for is the music from the subway during the Wiz.
How about the scene with the frogs? That was like right out of a Jodorowsky movie.
Well, and not the part with the frogs like picking the car up and throwing it in the lake.
No, the slow-mo.
The slow-mo
hopping and the sound and just hundreds of them.
Right.
I mean, not only is that scene incredibly difficult to film, but they didn't skimp out and use shitty slow-mo for it like they did earlier during the Monroe scene. They used like really good slow-mo cameras for that.
Right, and look at what not only is like the frogs slowly surrounding this vehicle while the CIA agent is on a stakeout trying to mic the shop or mic the listen in on the factory, but he's writing down "gribbet" every time he hears a frog croak.
That's right.
Like gribbet. He's like writing gribbet. It's just again, it borders on surrealism.
It's crazy.
And speaking of budget too, we already know he rides an ostrich at the end.
Yeah.
I could see the budget whittling away just when I first saw like the one shot of a zebra walking through the factory. It's like zebras can't come cheap.
Yeah, right?
Let alone an anteater. Where the fuck did they... You know how much an anteater wrangler's got to cost?
No.
That's got to cost. Never work with animals or children. Both of them cost too much money and are impossible to control.
W.C. Fields?
I think it was W.C. Fields. Could be wrong. It's one of those things that you always hear attributed to other people, but I think it was W.C. Fields. All the animals at the end, that alone had to be a chunk of that budget.
Easy.
Yeah, we got a zebra in the film. That cost money.
Fucking ostrich.
Also at the end, like the end where they have all these animals running out of the building, and you know there's like animals running out together that should normally be together on a stage.
Right.
Right. Like these are the kind of animals that we have in separate cages at the zoo for a reason, but all of a sudden now they're all running out at the same time. That's not easy to wrangle, let alone riding a fucking ostrich. Yeah.
So, I guess we're done.
I think so. I'm going to stand by my belief that this film was originally meant as Dada expressionism, and it just got out of hand. And I'm.
All right, let's go ahead and end this. All right, everybody. Episode 135 of Moviesucktastic. Thank you, as always, for joining us. You can go to our website at moviesucktastic.com. Download any show there that you can that you want. You can also watch the show live from our website, or you can go to livestream.com/moviesucktastic and do it that way as well. You can go to iTunes and you can leave us reviews. We always appreciate those. You can download all of our shows there as well. You can leave us voicemail at 908-514-4470, 908-514-4470. You can leave us email at themovieguys@moviesucktastic.com. You can go to our Tumblr page, moviesucktastic.tumblr.com, and you go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/moviesucktastic. You can also do a search for us online. Just do a search for Moviesucktastic, and everything I just talked about, you'll be able to find very easily. So that's it.
Right.
Words of wisdom. Come on.
Clever, but dumb.
And I thought you'd go with mango me.
Oh, that's yours.
No, mine was banana me.
Clever, but dumb.
All right, people. Talk to you next week. What?
We didn't rate it. 2 stars.
Yeah. Let's go with 2
stars.
2.
Done. See you
2
next
is
week.
good. All right. Goodbye, everybody.